like to give everybody out there listening a very warm White Cat welcome, because you're tuned in to the White Cat Outdoors podcast. What's up, everybody? It is episode... Shit, I forgot already. 19. We're episode 19. And White's here. What's going on, guys? And Tommy.
Hey, everybody.
And we have a host in the hot seat tonight. You've met me, you met Tom, you met Luke. So you have all the important people down, you know us all. But we have one other guy, part of White Cat, that I guess you should probably get to know him too. And he's sitting right over there. Nick?
Hey, I just want to say thank you for having me guys on the show. It's a real honor.
Yeah, this is your first time,
Glad you could make it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd do anything to make it on the show.
Yeah, it's a pretty prestigious show, so we're glad you could make time for us.
Well, it's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So what are we getting into today?
Whatever we say.
Yeah.
And
okay.
You just got to do whatever we say, and that's all there is to it.
Simon Says, love it.
So let's just... Well, this is... Guys, I know it's heartbreaking, but this will be the final host hot seat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was the final episode.
No.
Yikes.
No, there's going to be more, but...
We have officially run out of things to talk about.
No, we do have Nick to talk about tonight.
That's inappropriate.
Gross.
Whoopee.
Anyway, so let's get right into it. We're going to start out way back, Nick, with your first outdoor memory.
Like to the warning track?
Yeah,
Over.
like a way back Wednesday.
Yeah. It is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is
Oh,
Wednesday,
man.
my dude.
That
I even
worked
got
out
my
perfect.
gates.
Grape Gates.
Yep. It's not quite grape, but it's gates.
Green Apple Gates. It works just right. Starts with a G.
So, way back, Nick, first outdoor memory.
First outdoor memory that I remember,
Well,
or
yeah.
that
Yeah.
like...
That would be a memory.
Well,
Nick.
I didn't know if like... Because pictures can,
That's not
remind
a
you
memory.
of a memory. But memory, first outdoor memory for me was probably leaving the hospital. Back in,
Yeah, I'm sure you remembered that.
no,
1996, right? That was.
yeah, no, 97 actually. I was born in 96,
Oh,
left
yeah.
the hospital.
So you were in the hospital for a year.
Yeah, I was, whole year. It was wild, rough first start, but got my first outdoor experience then. But no, past that, I'm assuming you were talking hunting, fishing, the great outdoors that we all love.
This is an outdoors podcast, yeah.
Yep, the Indoor Outdoor Podcast. Probably, I would say, age 10, grade 4, mentor turkey hunt. And the way that started out, we were eating dinner at the table, and we have this great look out the back property. Thank you, Tom. Tom's just getting all the condensation off his beer over there. A little distracting. But anyway, so like I said, we're having dinner at the table. We have a gorgeous view of the property out our back window.
40.
Yeah. And while we're eating dinner, I noticed that there's a gobbler out in the back of the field. It was turkey season, and I've never been turkey hunting before yet, but I always wanted to, and the mentor program had just started that year. So I'd ask my dad, and say, could we go out in the morning before I go to school? He's like, well, you got school at 9 o'clock. Like, you got to be back at the house probably 8:15, 8:30, because mom's not going to let you miss school. He said, well, we can go for the morning if you want. And I was all in. So next morning, wake up and can't find my camel pants.
You didn't think to look for them the night before?
Nope. No, Tom knows that I still haven't learned that trick.
Yeah.
No, he sure hasn't.
But anyway, so couldn't find my camel pants, but I had my camel coat, and I threw a pair of black jeans on. My dad told me, well, if the bird sees you, it's not my fault. But we went anyways. We get in the woods, sit down. I was pretty little. So I was only 10. I was sitting right in my dad's lap. And he started calling. Birds gobbling like crazy. They fly down, and doesn't a hen fire right up.
Nice.
I thought the morning was over because I'd heard that story many a times. But we kept going. My dad started calling a little bit more aggressive, and next thing I know, gobbler's starting to come my way. I could see him at about 100 yards, working his way through. He's just closing the gap. My dad's whispering in my ear, and he tells me that, I'll let you know when it's safe to shoot. And I was shooting a single-shot 20 gauge. So he was...
With a scope, correct?
Yeah, with a scope. Yep. It was a 222 over 20 gauge. Actually, it was the other way around, but either way, Had a scope on it, single shot. And
it's a 222 over 20.
yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. I had it right the first time. Anyways,
Have
scope.
faith in yourself, Nick.
Yep, a lot of faith. But so the bird's coming in. He tells me, I'll give you the green light when it's ready to shoot, because I want to make sure it's in close enough. Because I'm still a horrible judge at distance.
I was going to say, I don't think you've gotten any
but
better
I
at
wasn't
judging distance.
I wasn't any better at 10. So my dad was letting me know, and the bird, there was basically a vine that was coming out, and he said when it gets past that, that's when it's going to be safe to shoot, but I'll let you know. So the bird comes in, and he's right about at the vine. He said, Nick, when he comes out, you go ahead and shoot him. So he comes
Freaking smoke him.
He's at full strut, and he comes around that vine, and he's in range, and that was at probably about 25 yards. And then my dad's like, all right, shoot him, Nick. And then bird keeps, strutting and walking in, getting a little closer. My dad's like, Nick, shoot him. He's just, like whispering in my ear because I'm right in his lap. And I'm just holding my gun on him. I'm looking through the scope, getting everything lined up. And he's like, Nick, and then shoot, and then boom, blast this thing. Bird drops right there, flopping around. We jump up, get up on him, and we didn't have to go far. It ended up being, from my 10-year-old body, I was able to take 11 strides. That's where the bird was. Smoked him right there.
Probably smacked him with the wad.
Yeah, I think I did. It dropped him right there. But I remember walking up to him, and this was at like not even 7 o'clock in the morning. It was like early.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember walking up to it, and I'm shaking like crazy. It was the first time I've ever killed something while hunting with my dad. And I looked down, I'm like, Dad, I'm shaking, but I'm not even cold. And he started laughing. He's like, that means it's your adrenaline, And
Mm-hmm.
but I've been hooked ever since. And tell you what, I was the proudest guy at school that day because I was,
You did make it to school on time.
I did, yeah. I even got on the bus. I was telling everybody about it. But that, Tom, right there was my first outdoor memory that I can recall on.
Well, let's hear the deets of this bird, Nick. Go ahead, give us weight, spur length, beard length, the whole nine. Everybody wants to know.
Well, I tell you what, it tasted great. It was Jake. Jake from State Farm. But I think as puffed out and stretched as I could get it, about 2.5 inches, just poking through the feathers.
So it just barely made it through.
Yeah. It was, I don't know, maybe I shot it off. I don't know.
Probably had about, 3-4 inch spurs on it?
It was just starting to get nubs, kind of like a button buck.
Oh, yeah.
Fan was not full. Has
probably from fighting for years.
Yeah, that's exact. I think, like I said, that's probably what happened.
Probably a 4-year-old bird.
Yeah, and I didn't weigh him, but I tell you what, at 10 years old, that thing was heavy to carry out.
So probably 35, 40 pounds.
I was thinking closer to 50, but I mean, just so we're not exaggerating, yeah, probably 35.
That's a big bird.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you'll have that with them big mature ones like
tell you what, tasted great though. I still got the beard.
Yeah.
And I kept the whole foot with the spur-ish.
The spur-ish.
But it's there, and it's the first memory. It's like shooting a spike horn. Never did though, but
Never do though, of course.
but yeah, that's the deets.
So that turkey hunt right there, that kind of turned you into quite the turkey hunter, huh?
Oh yeah, still turkey hunting. For a long time, turkey hunting was definitely my favorite. About probably 3-4 years ago, I kind of got more into archery. Not that I'm not into turkey hunting. I'm a big time turkey hunter. Love killing birds. I'm impatient, and
I feel that.
With turkeys, it's one of those things where I feel like it's either happening or it's not. If they're gobbling, it's happening. You're excited. If they're not gobbling, I just keep moving, And it worked pretty good for me. I get a bird most years. A few years I took it off, but what can you do? But
not a whole lot you can do. But you're pretty decorated with your birds.
Oh yeah, I've killed a bunch of longbeards, a bunch of jakes.
I say everybody heard the story a couple weeks ago. The big one that he copped off of UT.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's I have no prejudice on turkeys. If he comes in, I'm shooting him. Jake, Tom, I don't care. It's
gets the blood pumping.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sure somebody can make the same comparison to whitetail, but I don't know. If I can get a bird to come into me, I'm not gonna sit there and judge. Beard's not long enough. He's getting smoked. So
yeah,
that's just how I roll it.
Mm-hmm. So, where did you go from, your first turkey experience, and you said you got into archery hunting, heavily a few years ago, but you've obviously always been archery hunting and rifle hunting. So what was your progression from your first turkey hunt there, killing your first bird, on up to now?
Are you just on turkeys in general?
No,
or?
Anything. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it'd probably be easier. I'll just start with turkeys because I feel like, grown quite a bit when it comes to turkey hunting. Like I
just
said,
give us the whole run.
Started with single shot, 20 gauge turkey hunting in my dad's lap, and then by the time I turned 12, I killed a bird when I was 11. When I was 12, I was only missed. I started turkey hunting when I was 10. I think I've only missed 2 seasons, 2 maybe 3. Without getting a bird, and I'm 23 now. So I'm usually pretty solid when it comes to turkey hunting. But when I was 12, I started playing around with my own calls, like calling myself. Couldn't get the mouth calls down for a while. I was big into slate calls because that was just what worked for me. Actually did a competition. Had best in show for a purr, but not even close to anything good after that. So, and purring usually doesn't bring them in, But anyway, then I got into mouth calls and I started shooting a 12 gauge. Still, I can't get away from a scope. I got a red dot now, but
that's not really a scope.
Yeah, I mean it's
a sight.
Yeah, it's a sight, scope. But I never did the whole 3 dots kind of thing. I tried it, not a fan.
You just said you never did it. Which is it, Nick?
Never got into it.
Never got into it. Yeah, because I did kill a bird on the run with Joe, with one and something like that, but. I'm not a fan. I like the red dots now. The scope was really nice on that one, but I still have the gun. I just don't use it. I don't know why.
You like the knockdown power with 12. You can reach out there a little
57 yards, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
No, it's probably not a recommendation, but it happens.
It gets the job done.
But then I said calling, and then I did switch over to mouth calls. And then within the last year, I started getting into making my own mouth calls for turkey hunting because I found that I was spending a ton of money on mouth calls every year and only using like one. So I'd spend all this money trying out different calls, and I was only using one of them because, that's what happens. You buy a 5-pack and only like one. So whatever. Decided to buy a kit, started making my own calls, and never looked back. I can crank calls out like crazy, try out crazy different cuts on the reeds, and if I don't like it, I toss it right there, make another one. It's been pretty cool to do it that way.
What are the names of these calls?
So the ones that have stuck, I have the Spread V, which is a good split V call.
That's my favorite one that you've made.
Yeah,
I
that
like
one's
that
really
one
nice. I got the BBC. That's the big black call. Speaks for itself.
Is that too much to handle, or can the average person handle it?
It's going to take some practice and experience, but yeah.
You have to get used to it.
And then the last one I got right now, none of these are for sale quite yet. Might be able to talk me into a sampler pack, but I got the Gilf, which is the gobbler I'd like to find. And that one is a very raspy sounding call, shows experience, and will bring the bird right in. Like I said, probably not the prettiest, but it gets you with experience, and we'll talk them gobblers in.
So someone looking for that old, mature experience 10, a gobbler's going to...
Yeah, if you're trying to go for that sound, yeah, that's exactly what we got.
So you call into a young gobbler that wants someone to teach him a thing or two?
Yeah, something like that would probably work.
And what's the brand name for these?
Those are the white cat calls. So, cat calling to the turkeys.
Gets them every time it does.
That's a little cat call right there. But like I said, actually Sharpie, he's laying birds down with the cat calls.
Yeah, he killed 2 last year with them.
Yep. So we got that. I said I'll be using probably a Spread V for most of the season. It's just, you're run of the mill every day, good call. So, yeah, that's my progression through turkeys. But deer hunting was also right in line with that. I started deer hunting at 10. I had quite the dry spell on deers. It took me a long time.
Wait, did you say deers?
Yeah, catching deers. Had a hard time catching them.
It is tough to catch them sometimes.
I have a question for you related to deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Last episode, we talked about the White Cat Outdoors headquarters, our cabin up in New York. What is your biggest
No
buck?
comment.
Your biggest buck
No comment.
taken off the headquarters
No comment.
farm?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Does that mean you have not shot a buck?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
There you have it, folks. Has not shot a buck at the headquarters.
As I was saying about my deer hunting experience, had a hard time getting going. Missed a buck with my rifle.
That was Grandpa's fault, though.
I wouldn't say it's Grandpa's fault. I pulled the trigger.
A little bit of influence.
I mean, there was a rush, but yeah, it happened.
Was he like kicking you in the back of the legs while you're trying to shoot?
No.
Well, no. Normally, like when you're the one pulling the trigger, you'd want to be the one stopping the deer when it's in your lane.
Yeah.
Well, it was in a lane for my grandpa that didn't have a gun, so my grandpa stopped it for Nick. And
Perfect shot.
And then yelled at Nick for not pulling the trigger.
So that got the deer a little excited. But anyways, I was young. It happened. A lot of cold days in the stand without seeing anything.
Tell them about your first day deer hunting, rifle hunting with Grandpa.
I would have been 10, and this was the following. So like I killed that bird in the spring. That following deer season, I went out with my grandpa, and we were heading over to what we called the swamp stand, and climbing up, and I had dropped my glove out of my pocket on the way up, and it was a snowy, rainy day. It was cold.
Like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was
before daybreak.
Yeah, we were just getting up there for the all-day sit, and I get up there, and my grandpa gets up, and I says, "Grandpa, forgot I dropped my glove when I was walking up." And he said, "Okay, we'll get it at dark." So I had a chilly hand, and I didn't see a single deer all day until the one that Tom shot. I got to go see that one. But yeah, so finally, I was probably 12 or 13, got my first buck, got a little 5-point, and never looked back. I've except for one, I've done better with every buck I got, and it happens to be the first one that walks by.
Yeah, you have been insanely lucky with that.
I like to call it putting myself in the right place. Luck does have a little,
very, very small amount.
Not much really, but yeah. So that's deer hunting. Recently got into snake hunting, but I think we'll be getting into that probably more later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a while.
So just throw it out there, big time snake hunter.
Yeah, but let's stay with deer hunting for a while. You said you're just now getting like the past few years are getting heavily into archery hunting. When did you like actually start?
When did you start, and what has changed?
Okay, so
hitting you with a lot here.
When I was probably around the same time I killed my bird, about 10, I was already shooting bows.
Yeah, but like when did you start actually archery hunting, not just shooting?
I started archery hunting as soon as I turned 12, but it wasn't like my heart wasn't in it. I was out there because it was deer season, and I liked being out in the deer woods. But it was more, I broke out the bow 2 weeks before the season, shot a few times, and that was about it. But like I said, I didn't really get like into really studying why or where I should be in the woods. I really was just jumping up into a tree stand that I knew where it was at. Didn't matter if it was in a good spot for that time of year. I just was out there, not really paying attention to much, and just hoping I'd cut across something and get lucky. But I started with, I think, a PSC, I don't even know what kind. I mean, like 30-pound
Yeah,
max.
just like a youth bow.
Yeah, and I never even hunted with that bow. That was just my target bow when I was, 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And then Paul Shar handed down his old Fred Bear that maxed at 35 pounds, and I took that for my first 2 seasons of deer hunting. Never drew it back on a deer, and then about at that point, I took over my dad. He had a Matthews LX, and I shot that for a really long time. And it was up until probably, like I said, I was probably 18 when I really started to get serious about archery hunting. College got in the way, so it was as much as I could, but I was still doing a lot of learning when it came to it. And then this past year, I upgraded to that Lone Wolf Custom Gear Lobo. And that thing's
wicked.
Love that bow, and I've been shooting that one constantly since I got it. Joined an outdoor league, been shooting every weekend.
Indoor league.
Yeah, indoor. That's what I said, right?
Something like that.
But COVID kind of screwed the pooch on that one.
Yeah, a lot.
But I still shoot at the house after work and stuff. I'm taking it turkey hunting with me, so. Yeah.
Well, I hope you get one with your bow. That'd be freaking sick.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like I said, I think you said it best. If I'm going for a body shot or a headshot, it's going to be a game time decision. Been practicing for both, so we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
What kind of broadhead are you using for these birds?
I'm actually just going to use the exact same setup I got for whitetail. So it's what I got? It's a hybrid. I think they're called Bloodsport Gravediggers. So it's got 2 fixed, 2 mechanicals. Flies really, really well. Shoot 70 pounds, 29.5-inch draw. But I honestly don't even know the weight of my arrow. It's a 340 spline. And I don't know. That's one thing I never really got into when it came to like archery equipment is like, oh, your arrow has to be this heavy, or you have to have this much let off, or your bow's got to be above this poundage. Like, it shoots. It's really fast. I enjoy it. It's accurate for me. And I can tell you right now, the setup I got now kills deer.
Well,
Does
Ted
it all the
Nugent,
time.
he swears by, 52 pounds?
50, yeah, somewhere in there.
52, 53 pounds. So, I mean...
Yeah. And
It's all you need to kill
You leave it up to the
something.
majestic flight of the arrow.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different schools of thought on stuff like that, but bottom line is, if you can kill them with a longbow, it doesn't matter how fast it's coming out of a compound. It's obviously going faster than a longbow, and you're going to kill stuff. If you put the arrow in the right spot.
yeah, I spend more time trying to figure out where the deer's going to be instead of how I'm going to kill it, because I feel like that equation's already been figured out. I know
Exactly.
I know what's going to kill him. I'm trying to put the rest of the puzzle together at this point. So that's about where I'm at.
How is
progression-wise.
your... You talked about, like, the mental transition, but, like, what, like, the actual transition? What... I know you gone mobile this year. Give us a little insight on that.
So that was a big thing. I started hunting with a climber a few years ago, and I really, really liked that. I actually started killing a lot more deer once I could use a climber, and was just going off instinct, really. Luck was a lot of it, but walking into an area in the dark, I feel like you see, even though it's dark, but like when that sun first starts to come up, you can kind of see the layout of the woods. You don't see all the brush on the ground, like the smaller stuff, and you can kind of see the ground and like the woods the way a deer would see it at night, and you can kind of almost see like pinch points and stuff really easily from the ground. And I've used that to help locate where I want to put my climber. And then this past year, I decided that like I was kind of getting limited with a climber on like what trees I could get into, just because not everything's a telephone pole up in these woods around PA and New York and Ohio. So I switched over to a lock-on style. And at first I was using a Lone Wolf, like an old, it had to be like mid-90s cast aluminum stand and some XOP sticks. And then like actually like an XOP I-beam. It was kind of like a mash of different stands and sticks all like bolted, and a lot of grinding and stuff to make everything fit. But
Straight up factory.
yeah, it's Frankenstand, if you will. But after I did a season of that and fell in love with it and decided that I wanted to get serious in that game. And went over to Lone Wolf Custom Gear, and I got stand and sticks from them pre-ordered, and just wait until they can open back up and start shipping stuff out. So that should be here for
Yeah, I'm
this
pretty
season.
pumped for all that stuff to ship, because we put in a pretty good sized order. I bought a stand and sticks. Nick bought stand and sticks. We
Camera arm.
we got a lot of stuff, and I'm definitely excited to get out with all that stuff this fall.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that whole setup. But yeah, so mobility has been a huge factor in my success. I've had a lot of deer I've killed have just been first sit in an area, boom, get out. Nobody ever knew I was there. So, yeah.
So we know you're a big time turkey hunter, big time deer hunter.
Yep.
Is there anything else? I know you used to raccoon hunt.
Yeah, I was big into the coon scene. Back when I guess I was turkey hunting and deer hunting by then, because I was almost into high school. But
I was gonna say, how old were you guys when you got the
I
dogs?
was in like
I got the
7th
dogs
grade,
in,
maybe. I was 7th grade. so
7th grade.
Yeah. But anyway, so
Summer after 6th grade.
yeah, Tom got 2 blue tick coon hounds that me and him helped together. We trained them ourselves, literally right off the book of Where the Red Fern Grows. Like we didn't.
Clearly, it worked.
Yeah, it did. Like you said, we went directly off that book and movie. Book and movie are pretty similar, so
Yeah, I'd say
spoiler
almost
It's like
exactly
one
the
was
same.
based off of the other
yeah.
one. It's
So
weird.
that part's true. But so literally exactly how he trained his dog's there. That's how we did it with ours, and man, it worked really well for a long time. Me and Tom were hunting coons every night throughout the season during school. I mean, out all night long chasing dogs through the woods. I don't know how you could beat it. That's probably some of the most fun hunting there is out there, just running through the woods, chasing the sound of a treed coon and ready to go.
Anything else you hunt?
Rattlesnakes, big time. Really,
Big time rattlesnake guy.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you get into that?
On my own, actually, no.
Yeah, it was totally on your own.
So, good friend of mine, Frank Myers. Don't know if you guys know who he is. He's on the podcast from time to time.
Pretty much all the time.
Yeah, he's got 100% attendance right now.
I think I do.
Frank texted me one night, and he says, "Hey, Nick, I've been thinking about snake hunting." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Rattlesnakes. Pennsylvania, what do you say?" I was like, "Well, how do you go about it?" And he's like, "Well, they just switched it over to an over-the-counter tag, so all you got to do is go buy a tag and we can go." And I said, "Say less. Let's go." So
yeah, I've been like talking about it with my dad for like 2 years, applying for the tag and stuff, and we just never did it because we didn't really, have anyone that knew what they were doing or, know where to go. But after a while, I was like, what the hell with this? I really want to do this, so I'm doing it. I'm getting my permit this year, and I texted Nick. I was like, let's freaking do it, buddy.
That text to me still coming through? Is it still sending?
Tom, I do believe that we took you snake hunting and you caught some snakes.
Yeah, but
I believe I got you on your snakes.
I got myself on my
Oh,
snake.
okay.
Yeah,
I'll be over here.
As I was
Yeah.
saying,
They
Frank
went like
says,
3 times without me, and then they're like, "Tom, this is really fun." You
okay,
should
so
try it."
to be fair,
To be
we were
fair.
trying to figure out where these bad boys were, which I was getting into. Frank calls or texts, we get our snake permits. Fast forward, I recall back on a time when I was living down in central Pennsylvania area, going to school, and did some hiking down there. And I remember seeing a single rattlesnake on a 12-mile hike. And that was more rattlesnakes than Frank or I have ever seen in Pennsylvania. So we figure
That's got to be the
that's got to be the spot to go. So off we go. We get in the pickup truck. We just head down that way, drive up to the top of the mountain, park the truck, and we just start walking. We had literally no experience, no mentors, no nothing. Just started hiking. Hiked for a good mile and a half or so.
Yeah, it was probably
And
just over a mile. Probably not quite a mile and a half.
We had just took a nice sit on, there was a rock overhanging this like shale cliff, and we were sitting up there for a while. Great
It wasn't
view.
like a straight cliff, like you could
like-
walk on it, but it was pretty steep.
Yeah, pretty steep. And there was a rock overhanging. We were just sitting on that. Really cool view, top of the world kind of feeling. Got down off that, and we're walking on that. It's like not a cliff, but pretty steep, and it's like full of like shale.
You got to
rocks.
be careful when you're
Yeah.
walking.
And so we're, walking around and we're talking, I don't even know if we're in the right area. We haven't seen any snakes, haven't heard any snakes, nothing. And about that time, Frank slips, falls, puts his hand down, and there's the rattle in the oh shit moment.
Yeah, damn near put my hand right on top of it.
We found our first snake. We got super stoked about it. We picked it up, took it down to the road. It was much too small to keep, but nonetheless, we wanted some pictures. We were just super excited, so we figured we'd practice getting it measured, all that kind of stuff.
Sexing it.
Yeah.
It was
Counting its toaster strudels, everything.
Exactly.
So we get it down on the road. Truck comes up right in the middle of our photo shoot, and he tells us that, man, he's been up here for years, and that's the first snake he's seen it around here since been around. So we're like, so we found the one snake on the mountain. This is great. And I asked him, how often do you look for him? He says, I watch every step I take. Fair enough, sir. Obviously, he watches where he steps. We just got lucky, found this snake. Awesome. We put him back where we found him and on our little hike. And I'd say maybe 100 yards up the road.
Yeah, it was not far.
There was a gate with some rocks piled up on each side. And Frank says, I'll take this side, you take that side kind of thing. And I jump up on a rock. And then I screamed like a little girl.
Nick had his oh shit moment.
Yeah, because then I had a large rattlesnake at my toes, like right at my toes, rattling like crazy. I jumped off the rock, got back, kind of got my composure, called Frank, told him there's a snake over here, pulled it out, and it was about 39 and a half or so. Big snake. Not legal, though.
They look huge the first time you see them.
Yeah, I tell you what.
And that one was a male too, so it was nice and
was
beefy.
close.
Had a nice fat head. So So it looked like a rattlesnake.
Yeah, we put them back. And
What is legal?
42.
And they have to be a male.
Yeah, they have to be a male. So, like you said, that was the end of. Those were the only 2 snakes we found that day, wasn't it? Mm-mm. Oh, yeah.
We found a third one, literally another 100 yards up the road.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did find another one. I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh,
the 2 I found were females, and you found a male.
Yep. So there was that. That was our first trip, and I was, borderline addicted.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I was hooked.
that's like a drug.
Yeah.
Now, if you're an adrenaline junkie and you like the outdoors, you need to go snake hunting, because something about playing, or not playing, but like going after an animal that you have no real advantage over. Like, he can really screw up your day, ruin the afternoon, if you will.
Yeah. You definitely got to be careful and know
respect them.
Exactly. Definitely respect them.
But that's been a lot of fun for us. And actually, Tom came with us. We brought our buddy Jared Larson, Frank's dad, friend of mine, Morgan Bruinsma. She came with us. And I did end up getting a legal snake this year at 48.5 inches.
Yeah, it was
beautiful
a hog.
blackface. And Chuck Rupert at Second Life Freeze Dry did it up for me around one of my bucks, and turned out to be absolutely phenomenal. Very majestic centerpiece for anywhere. Beautiful.
Absolutely. We found 35 snakes. And that was our
4 legal? Because we put one back.
Yeah, we found 5 legal ones.
5 legal, sorry. 5
and
legal.
Kept 4 of them. The one legal one that I found was 45. I let it go because it had a crappy rattle. It wasn't what I wanted, so I let it go.
Jared's had enough for you and that one.
Yeah, it sure did. He's had
14.
No, it had more. I thought it had 16.
Oh, maybe
something like that.
Something in the teens, lots of them. But
oh man, time for a smoke break.
Yeah, I think we ought to.
Well,
you guys mind?
Yeah, you're in the seat, man. Heat it up for us.
All right. So, as I take my smoke break here, in lieu of turkey season, because that's coming up. I mean, by the time you guys are hearing this,
doesn't in lieu of mean like
instead of?
Yeah. I think so.
100%.
Yeah.
You don't have to check on it. I mean,
no, you don't have to check on, because I'm telling you.
you know shapes, not grammar. All right. So
I had a college professor that's used to cancel class and then say, in lieu of class, do this online assignment.
Well, if you let me finish.
That sounds like instead of.
In lieu of a smoked recipe, I was going to get into
you said in lieu of turkey seasoning.
Turkey seasoning on the stove. See, you guys just, if you let me finish, it would have made perfect sense.
All right, why don't you lay it on us?
Okay, I guess instead of a smoke recipe, we're going to do a recipe in the pan instead of the smoker. So what you're going to need, 1, a dead turkey, preferably just the breasts for this recipe. You're going to need a Ziploc bag, a lemon pepper marinade. They sell it at literally every store that sells groceries and lemon pepper stuff. So easy to get your hands on.
Go to the lemon pepper store. You'll find it.
It's right there.
Like a liquid marinade?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Liquid. And then you're going to need a frying pan, some butter, and then a little bit of Hunt Chef feather duster works really well for this recipe. So you'll see where that comes into play here real soon. So what you're going to do, you're going to kill a turkey. Once it's dead, get the breasts out. Slice them up into little nuggets. Try and pull out any BBs if Tom shot it. Could have a lot of BBs in there.
Probably.
Yeah, because I shoot 3.5s.
Yep,
and that's
true.
why you fill the breast with BBs.
Yeah, so you're going to want to get all the BBs out if you can. If not, you're just going to hurt your teeth later. Not the end of the world, though. Anyway, cut them up into little nuggets.
I think it adds a little bit of extra flavor.
Yeah. Put them in a Ziploc bag with your lemon pepper seasoning, or marinade, sorry. And you're just going to let them soak in that for, you can do overnight. You can do a couple hours. You just don't want to go like too crazy, but overnight's probably your best bet. It lets everything really get the juices flowing and for your best effect. And then what you're going to do, pop them out of the bag after it's been overnight. It's very critical time measurement there, but overnight, it could do it for breakfast, I guess. I ain't going to stop you. This is quarantine. Anyway, so
there's no rules.
You're going to get a cast iron pan, put some butter in there, and you're just going to pan fry these suckers just ever so slightly. Get them cooked well through, but you don't want to overdo turkey, especially wild game, because then it gets really dry really fast. Honestly, I can't tell you what the temperature is for turkey, but look it up. You'll figure it out. And then when you're done, get them in the pan. Yeah, get them in the pan. And then before serving, take that Hunt Chef feather duster, sprinkle a little bit on top for a little pizzazz. Actually, really nice color on top because it's like a nice red. It's kind of almost looks like paprika on top, kind of, if you will, but way better. Serve it up with a nice ying banger, and even if it is breakfast.
Still have the Ying banger.
Yeah, that's where it's best.
Like you said, it's quarantine. You can do whatever you want.
It's delicious, truly. And get down on that smoke break. That's it.
That's it for the smoke break this week.
That is. My cigarette's empty.
Mine too. So where were we at?
We actually had a pretty nice pause there. We got into the smoke break, and now to jump us right back in, we're going to go into a segment where we confirm the name, Cat Quick Questions.
I thought it was Quick Cat. Quick Cat Questions.
I thought it was Kit Kat questions.
The
Break
name
me
is
off
not
a
yet
piece
confirmed.
of that. White cat.
Still not confirmed as of now. Started it last week, but I like Quick Cat Questions.
Yeah, break time, anytime.
Anyway, we're just going to rifle through some questions to get to know him a little bit.
Rifle them
He's going to answer them real quick, no
as
explanation.
fast as I can.
Yep. Get
Pass.
ready. Here we go. Favorite camo?
Tree bark.
Favorite bow?
Lone Wolf Custom Gear Lobo.
Fixed or mechanical broadhead?
Mechanical.
Favorite animal to hunt?
Whitetail.
Favorite famous hunter?
Ooh, can I go
It's supposed to be quick.
This is not Quick Cat.
All right. Ted Nugent, Stan Potts.
Are you for or against Sunday hunting?
All for it.
What is your preferred deer rifle?
Kimber 7mm 08.
Preferred turkey gun?
1187.
What is your preferred turkey load?
One that kills a bird. I don't really care. As long as it's turkey load, gets the job done. I don't get too picky. But right now I'm using, I think they're heavy shots with like 5, 7, and 8 shot in it.
Is that 3-inch or 3.5?
3 all day because that's all you need.
Boom.
that
Next
because you
question.
can't handle-
Next question.
The next question is, are you afraid of the 3.5-inch turkey load?
That's not the next question.
No.
And that's our segment on Quick Cat Questions.
Kit Kat, break me off, piece of that.
Quick Cat Question.
Yeah.
So, Nick, we've gone through hunting. I know you're not just a hunter. I know you've done a little bit of fishing. You're not a huge fisherman guy, but you have fished. You have experience and knowledge in fishing. So hit us with some of that.
You put your bait in the water, and when the fish and when he swims and the fish likes the bait in the water, sometimes the fish will the fish will bite your bait, and then you want to jerk your pole unless you're using a circle hook, but you'll jerk and then the fish jerks back, and then you get into a jerking match with this fish.
How long do you jerk it for?
As long as it takes to get it in, and then the fish, he comes to the surface, and if he's big enough, you'd put him in the cooler, and then if he's not, you throw him back.
Thank you for that.
Do you have a favorite fish to put through this process?
I can't believe you kept going with that for that. I thought you were just going to do that for like 2 seconds and then, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm retarded.
Yeah, I was surprised I didn't laugh doing that.
Yeah.
I was keeping my composure there. Favorite fish to put through the ringer? Probably catfish, only because that's my favorite one to eat.
How do you go about catching these brutes?
Catfish is your favorite fish to eat?
Yeah.
That's surprising. Most people, I mean, I like catfish, but most people don't like catfish all that much.
They're delicious.
Nick is very good at cleaning a catfish.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I have a story.
Maybe we could do a how-to video.
Yeah, I have a story about
Yikes.
cleaning things later that has to do with Nick. So we're gonna finish with that. We'll go back to
If
Nick's
it's my
fishing.
room, I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
So
So you have someone else clean it, but
Yeah.
before that,
No. So
How do
you're
you catch it?
You're catfishing. No, I cleaned the catfish myself. I just had a hell of
do
a
a
time.
shit job.
Yeah, that's true. So anyways, I like to catfish late at night. Usually towards the mouth of a creek, whether it's this one or that one, because I
Does
won't
it
tell you
matter
which
if it's
one.
a crick?
Crick? Yeah, it's actually a crick. Sorry. Creeks aren't real.
That's what you hear on the floor.
Yeah. That's good. So I like to do it at the mouth of the floor noise. And late at night, I like to use some real stinky bait. Something that makes you go, pee, ew. Something like that. Like, ew, I don't want to touch it. That stink, You put that on your hook, you throw that out there. Usually, always, you bring a buddy. They do the same thing. And then you sit there and bullshit.
And drink beer.
And you wait. Sometimes you catch them, sometimes you don't.
So is it top water, middle water, bottom water?
Bottom. They're a bottom feeder, so.
You a big sinker?
Oh, yeah, big time. Big time sinker guy. You want that sit on the bottom, catfish come by, shark in the water. 23 kids go into the water.
How far
15
out
comes out.
from your
Ice
hook
cream man,
do you,
take the rest.
How far from the hook do you like your sinker?
Oh, geez. About this far. I have no idea. About 6-7 inches. I don't know.
They make catfish rigs.
Yeah, that too.
Specifically
like I said,
designed
I don't
for
get
it.
technical with my fishing. Maybe that's why I'm no good at it. I don't have a ton of knowledge on fish. A lot of times I'm looking over what the next guy's doing and copying that. And I'm not ashamed to say it because I just said it live. So, like I said, I just like catfishing because it's pretty slow paced and you get to have a good time hanging out with the buddies.
Fight.
Oh, yeah, that's another big thing
yeah.
about them is the fight. We live in a pretty good catfishing area. So, like I said, I mean, perch fishing's fun, but you're constantly moving. Walleye, there's a lot of work going on. Steelhead, you're up and down. You're irritating this guy because you're standing too close to him or you're too deep in the hole. I don't know. Catfishing, you put your lawn chair up there. You just have a good time with your buddies, and it doesn't get any better than that for me.
I agree.
So you catch them, you do a bang-up job cleaning them. How do you cook them?
Fry them up deliciously.
You just cook them like walleye?
Yep, pretty much just
perch.
like walleye.
Just fry them?
Yeah.
Deep fry them, pan fry
Yeah,
them?
I like to deep fry mine. Like I said, but I mean, I've had them blackened. I've had them. I actually haven't had them baked, but deep fry is probably the best because I mean, why not?
Exactly.
Delicious. I like to put some sort of Cajun. Hunt Chef makes a Cajun style seasoning that's really good on them. But like any real Cajun works really good with them. A little bit of lemon. Ugh.
Ugh.
Can't go wrong there, huh?
Nope, not at all. But that's about all I know for fishing. Sorry, that's
Okay, so
not my strong suit.
Story. I'll let you share a story about Nick if you feel like it
Oh,
after
boy.
this.
I have a few. It's like I've
I
known
guess
him my
this is
whole
the time
life.
we get
I
into
know
the
it.
fiction part of the podcast.
Yeah, so like this isn't like one specific story, but you talking about cleaning catfish and him being really, really bad at it reminded me of how Nick does not like to gut his deer.
It's not that I don't like to gut it. I just like to offer the opportunity to anybody around. And I wouldn't take that from somebody. If somebody wants to do it, I'm giving them the opportunity. I don't see you guys asking if anybody can gut your deer. And like I said, that to me, that's just selfish. And I'll stand by that.
Yeah. So Nick he always has some stupid ass excuse as to why he can't. And I remember it was last year when you shot your doe up at the headquarters.
Oh, yeah. No, 2 years ago because you got your big buck last year.
Yeah, 2 years ago. So Nick shoots this deer and it goes quite a ways. Tom,
Yeah, we've gone over the story. Tom helped me out at the end.
Yeah.
We got it back to the cabin. All right, pick up.
So Nick didn't want to gut this thing because he just didn't feel like it. And
Well, I didn't have a meat pole, and I was doing. I was just
that
taking
had
out.
nothing to do with it.
You don't gut a deer on a meat pole. You gut it on the ground and then put it on a meat
I didn't
pole.
have to gut it to get what I needed out of it.
Okay, so Nick just didn't. He wanted to be lazy, and I said that I'm never gutting another deer for Nick, and Tom said the same
You've never
thing.
gutted a deer for me.
How about this one?
You said I'm never doing another one for Nick, as if this happens all the time. You've never gutted a deer for me until this time. right
Okay,
now.
well, Tom has done several for you.
No, he
and
hasn't.
Baloney.
That's and I don't know if Tom's going to lie to you right now, but he has not gutted a deer for me.
False.
Okay.
Okay,
Moving on.
He literally can't even keep a straight face right now.
I remember one specific time up at the Morrison farm.
It's my story.
Yep.
So
Okay, that's a lot.
So we get this thing back, and I wanted to get the heart out of it, but Nick's like, nah, I don't feel like gutting it. I was like, you're retarded. So I gutted the thing and pulled the heart out of it, and he was leaving the tenderloins in it because he
it was
didn't.
a gut shot.
So I gut the thing, pull the heart out of it. He's like, well, no, I guess since it's gutted, I'll pull the tenderloins out of it.
And just see if they're any good.
Yeah, and turns out they were just fine. And Nick,
Yeah, and guess what? You were eating good that night because I shared them with the class.
Yeah, you sure did. But yeah, so Nick he always has an excuse. He always cuts his finger as soon as he starts, before he even touches the knife to the deer. Something goes wrong, and someone else has to take care of it. So Tom, what's your story?
You guys are acting like I
Nick,
don't gut my own deer. I do. I just ask if anybody wants to.
Most of the time, you do gut your own deer.
I would say all but that time.
Not without a fight.
No, because I very specifically remember gutting one of your doe up at the Morrison farm.
Sounds fiction to me.
You shot it out of the tripod stand, dead in the goldenrod field. Because I specifically remember...
I remember you holding the legs. That was about it.
I remember removing...
Maybe a headlamp.
Yeah, no. I definitely got the deer for you. But there was another time up at the Morrison farm where Nick was actually gutting this deer. And I will admit...
No light.
There wasn't the best light. We had a dim four-wheeler headlight. And we thought Nick did a great job gutting this deer. And we get it back to camp, get it hung up on the meat hooks. And we're like, where the hell are the tenderloins?
This one's true.
100% fact on this story.
I don't know how it happened. Nick did such a good job gutting this deer that he
started processing it too.
Managed to remove the tenderloins
and leave them in the gut pile.
Yeah, he was ripping everything out that he could get his hands on. But hey, it happens.
That it does. But
so Nick, we've talked about your earliest memory. We've talked about some of your not so fine moments in the outdoor world. Let's hear about in your opinion, your finest outdoor memory.
The pinnacle. So, if I had to pick the pinnacle of my outdoor experiences, honestly, this is going to sound...
Are you going to tell the story?
No, I got the story. And this probably is going to come to a surprise to you guys because it's not my biggest buck. It's not my first buck. It is a deer story. But basically, I had to have been 10th grade of high school, and I was getting ready. Wrestling season was getting ready to start. Been doing it for a long time, and my heart wasn't in it anymore. Just couldn't do it. Like I said, I finished out my freshman year, and that was 12 years. And my heart was not in it anymore. I had enough, and I decided that I was done hunting. I was not done hunting, done wrestling. So before the season started, I went in, talked to my coach, told him it was done. He didn't want to hear it. Told me, nah, you're going to wrestle. And I said, no.
We'll see you at practice tomorrow.
I'm telling you right now, before we start this season, that I am done. And he says, go put your shoes on, and I told him no. Like, I can't because my dad's out in the parking lot, and we're going to deer camp tonight. So he says, get the hell out of my office. And there I went. Got in the truck with my dad, went up to camp, had a great time that night, went out the next morning, and I put a doe down. And that was right there, solidified it for me. And the reason why that's my favorite story is my coach tried to tell me that I got my whole life to hunt, but I've only got a few years to wrestle. And I looked at him dead in the face and I said, I got my whole life to hunt, but I don't know how many years I got it with my grandpa and my dad. And that's why I'm going. And I took off, went up there with my grandpa and my dad to camp, and I killed a doe the next day. And that right there is my favorite one. So...
very heartwarming.
Yep. Tenderloins for breakfast.
Do you have a ying banger with your breakfast?
No, I was
under 21.
15, yeah. Probably had a pinch of chew, though. Don't tell my mom.
So, you talked about hunting.
Shut up.
Hunting with dad and grandpa. Would you consider them your hunting idol?
Idols, yeah, because there's two of them. Yeah, I got my first turkey with my dad, first buck with my grandpa. Enjoy hunting with them as much as I can. Everything I've learned for the most part, comes from them. I've picked up a few things on my own, but I tell you what, the things that work the best tend to come from those two, because they got a lot of experience. They've hunted all over the country, and just like I said, they're definitely my idols when it comes to it. If I got questions about the way I should go about something in the woods, if after a certain deer or hunt a different piece of property or whatever, I go to them. They can usually lead me in the right direction, and that's where I get a lot of my success from.
Thank you for that, Nick.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we talked about your first hunting memory.
Yep.
Talked about your best hunting memory.
Yep.
Talked about a little bit about fishing.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. But I think we're at that part in the episode where you, our host Hotseat, gives our listeners the old write it in pen.
Oh, man.
The old live by, die by little thing that keeps you going day to day.
Wet your quills, everybody. So I'm going to give just the quick boom phrase, and then I'm going to elaborate on it. My write it in pen is be instinctive. And what I mean by that is...
Can you elaborate?
Exactly what I said I was going to do. What I mean by that is as much as I go to my dad, my grandpa for advice and everything, learn yourself, do what the first thing that comes to you. I've gotten so many deer from walking into the woods with no real knowledge on that area and just picking a tree because that was the first one that I decided to climb up and then killed it. And I think all humans have some sort of instinct when it comes to hunting, and I think people need to try and dig into it. Like I said, just be instinctive. Learn for yourself. Don't be afraid to fail. And just get out there, have fun, and follow the first thought as long as it's safe when you're out there in the deer woods. I've sat in a tree stand. I've been there for 20 minutes and decided I'm not having it. And I'll get down and I'll go walk to a totally different area just out of... I don't wait to think, let's see if something comes. Like, no, if the thought comes into my head that I should be in a different stand, I'm gone. Because the entire night I'm going to think about what could be happening over there. So I jump on my instincts all the time for hunting, and I've seen it pay off. And I can't say if it's failed or not because...
You weren't in the other spot.
Yeah, so it's got a 100% success rate. So yeah, be instinctive.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
That's definitely rock solid advice because I know, like me and Tom, with our turkey hunting experience, we always set out with this plan and we know, okay, this is what the birds do. We know this is what's going to happen. And we don't follow our instincts. We hear the birds over here and it's like, you know what? We should be over there. That's definitely the spot. We know we should be where we are, but let's just close the gap a little bit. And then we go and do that, and all of a sudden, about 20 minutes later, there's birds gobbling right on top of where we were. So if we would have followed the instincts, and this is a yearly thing, we do it every year. So
it's like a little tradition.
We still haven't learned from it. We just keep doing it for fun.
Now that I've said it and write it in a pen, you guys will know.
Yeah,
this
now
is
that it's
coming up
written
in a couple
down.
Weeks,
Yeah, it is. So it's written down in pen. We won't forget it. Juiced.
Another quick little instinct story. Me and Nick were at the old Morrison farm. And Nick was hunting this stand we like to call the hangover stand. And
were you hungover?
No, that's just the name of the stand.
An evening hunt, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a hangover.
And I was going to hunt what we call the observation stand. And
why is this story so funny?
It just cracks me up. It's a heartbreaker. But it's called the observation stand because you can see a mile in any direction. And we have our bows, mind you. And so I'm walking there, and everything's telling me, Tom, hunt the observation stand, and which is about 60 yards from the hangover stand where Nick was hunting. And I get to the bottom of the observation stand, and I said, I know I'm going to see deer, but I don't think they're going to come into bow range. So I decided to walk across the field and go down to a food plot in the woods and hunt there. Well, about an hour into the hunt, Nick texted me and says, hey, buddy, should have went with your first thought on the observation stand because there is a monster buck standing 20 yards in front of it
Send
right now.
him a picture.
How big was it?
He was probably 130-inch 8-point.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was.
Should have stuck with the instincts on that one, buddy.
Yeah, I really should have, but
I don't know why Nick wasn't helping you out with that.
yeah, why he didn't tell me to write it in pen earlier? But
I mean, Thompson, you know what? Even while we're on the topic of instinct, back on that
Great movie, too.
controversial
It is a
topic
great
or
movie.
story of where I stole a bird from Tom. Yeah, maybe I said, maybe I didn't, that I was going one place, and I followed my instincts and went somewhere else, and it paid off. You know, somebody said I got a little too close to him in the deer woods when I shot my doe. Yeah, maybe I had plans to get a little deeper, but instincts told me to stay where I was at. And you know
Checks
what?
out.
it wasn't the alcohol the night before that.
No, it was my instincts.
Right.
So, right there, that should tell you. I mean, I've walked into the woods, pitch black, climber on my back, no headlamp, climbed up the first tree, and before 8 o'clock, I'm calling Tom because I need somebody to help me drag. So,
Yeah, you did do
True
that.
story.
So-
True story.
just be instinctive. Like I said, just the first thought, as long as it's a safe move, go for it. And by safe, I mean like not going to get yourself hurt. It's not safe to go like right into deer bedding, but it's not going to get you hurt. So like if that's what you're talking about, like if you feel like maybe you should go inside like some bedding or sanctuary, jump in there. I mean, you're not going to kill them if you don't get in there. So
You might.
you might, but you might not.
There has
And-
been people that have killed deer outside of bedding.
oh yeah, I do it all the time. It's like a daily thing. In the season, of course.
I hope not daily. So
Different states.
I guess
Yeah.
I guess we've run through everything. Write it in pens. Usually, right at the very end. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Nick?
Not really. I mean, just to reiterate, just on the, just getting me into the woods young, I think has helped me get to where I am at such a young age. Where like I'm not slaying like huge monster bucks, but I'm getting bucks very often. Got a lot of turkeys and stuff. I'm enjoying the outdoors, and I think a lot of that has to do with getting in there young, and having an opportunity to do it. So I mean, if you've got anybody listening that's got younger kids or cousins, nephews, nieces.
Nick, I think you're stealing my write it in pen from my house.
I mean,
thoughts.
yeah, but like I said, to
I'm
reiterate.
just joking. Calm down.
Anyway, if you got somebody that's little around you that's interested in getting outdoors, don't turn it down to them. Like, bring them out there, and I don't care if they're going to sit there on their Game Boy for the first few times. Just get them out there, and eventually they're going to pick up on it. So,
Before we sign it off and get people outside, when was the last time you saw a kid with a Game Boy?
oof.
I was playing a DS the other day. I know it's not a Game Boy, but
Yeah, he asked you about a Game
similar.
Boy. Like, when was the last time you had a Ford truck? Well, I had a Chevy
Actually,
truck.
Mike Rez plays a Game Boy quite regularly.
Yeah, that is true.
Big
Anyways.
Pokemon guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Nick, tell them what they need to know.
Wait, what brought up the whole Game Boy thing?
Because Nick said
Oh,
even
yeah.
if they're sitting there with their Game
Tom was
Boy.
on his phone. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's appropriate.
Yeah, on my host hot seat. But it's cool. It's whatever.
He's
must
only
be-
your brother, so.
Yeah, it's whatever. I'm not even bothered, really.
I wouldn't be.
But like I said, like Frank said, we're going to sign it out here. By the time you're listening to this, our review on the Pocket Arm, Lone Wolf Custom Gears Pocket Arm, of course, will be on the YouTube. So check that out. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe and like to our YouTube. And get outside.